Hi everyone, Miss Emily here again. Are you ready for story time? We clap to say hello, we clap to say hello. With our friends at story time, we clap to say hello. We wave to say hello, we wave to say hello. With our friends at story time, we wave to say hello. We stomp to say hello, we stomp to say hello. With our friends at story time, we stomp to say hello. Great job, everybody. This week, we're learning about deer. Can you say deer? Say deer. Good job. Can you say deer with a high-pitched voice like this? Deer. Good job. Can you say deer with a low-pitched voice like this? Deer. Good job. Can you say deer with a very quiet voice? Shh. Deer. Good job. Can you say deer with a loud voice like this? Deer! Great job, everybody. Would you like to pretend to be deer together? Let's pretend. How do we walk around like a deer? Deer walk around on 4 legs. Can you crawl around like this, just like a deer? Wow, you look so much like a deer already. Do you know what deer like to eat? Deer like to eat plants, especially plants that are growing out of the ground, because they can reach those really easily. Can you pretend like you're eating plants out of the ground, but don't actually touch your mouth to the ground, because that would be gross. We're just gonna pretend like we're eating leaves off of the ground. Ready? Good job. Deer come out really early in the morning before the sun comes up. And after the sun has been up for a while and it gets to be a little bit later in the morning, they pick a comfy spot in the forest. Can you pick a comfy spot in the forest where you're gonna settle in? And what they do is they chew on a lot of the leaves that they ate in the morning. So we're just gonna sit here and we're gonna make a really big chewing motion with our mouth, just like a deer does. Good job, deer. Did you know that deer have a 4-chambered stomach? And our stomach only has 1 chamber. Isn't that crazy? So they just sit there and they eat a lot of plants all day long. And then, during the daytime, they probably will take a little nap. Can you pretend to take a little nap like a deer? Good job. We don't want to take too long of a nap because once the sun starts to go down, the deer come out again and they start eating. And then they pick a comfy spot. Can you find a comfy spot? And then they sit and chew. And then they go to sleep for the night once it's totally dark outside. Great job pretending to be deer, everybody. There are 3 different names that we give for the different ages of deer. And I want to show you a couple of them right now. This type of deer is called a buck. A buck is the male deer, or you could call it the dad deer. He's just like the dad deer. So this is a buck. And bucks have antlers on their head. Can you pretend like you have antlers on your head, just like a buck? Good job. This type of deer is called a doe. This is the mommy deer or the female deer. They don't have antlers. But, like the buck, they both have really big white swishy tails. Can you pretend like you have a white swishy tail? Good job. And then the last type of deer that we have around here is called a fawn. These deer would all be in a family together. They're all the same type of deer called a white-tailed deer. They're just different ages. The fawn is the baby deer. Do you see how the baby deer kind of lays curled up in a ball and it has these bright white spots all over its back? Sometimes when a baby deer gets scared, depending on how old it is, it might try to jump up and bound away. Can you jump up and bound away like a fawn? Good job. Now we're going to sing a song about the different ages of deer, okay? And you're going to do some of the dance moves that we just learned when we looked at the different ages of the deer, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pretend like we have deer feet, which are called hooves, all right? So I'm going to sing a song and then I'm going to do some dance moves. I want you to copy my dance moves. And if you can sing the song along with me, I hope that you do. Ready? If you're a deer and you know it, stomp your hooves. If you're a deer and you know it, stomp your hooves. If you're a deer and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're a deer and you know it, stomp your hooves. If you're a buck and you know it, wiggle your antlers. If you're a buck and you know it, wiggle your antlers. If you're a buck and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're a buck and you know it, wiggle your antlers. If you're a doe and you know it, shake your tail. If you're a doe and you know it, shake your tail. If you're a doe and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're a doe and you know it, shake your tail. If you're a fawn and you know it, bound away. If you're a fawn and you know it, bound away. If you're a fawn and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're a fawn and you know it, bound away. Great job, deer, great job. Now we're gonna count some deer on the felt board. Can everybody sit down while I use the felt board? Great job. Okay, how many deer do I have on the felt board right now? 0, no deer yet. Let's add some deer. How many do I have now? 1. One little deer went out to play in the meadow one sunny day. He had such enormous fun, he called another deer to come. Now how many deer do we have on the board? 1, 2. 2 little deer went out to play in the meadow one sunny day. They had such enormous fun, they called another deer to come. Now how many deer do we have on the board? 1, 2, 3. 3 little deer went out to play in the meadow one sunny day. They had such enormous fun, they called another deer to come. Now how many deer do we have on the board? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little deer went out to play in the meadow one sunny day. They had such enormous fun, they called another deer to come. Now how many deer do we have on the board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 deer. Can you give me a high five? Bam, good job. Okay, we're gonna sing one more song before the end of story time. And in this song, we're gonna pretend like we're pointing out the spots on a fawn. And we're kind of just gonna point everywhere. So can you pretend like you're poking a fawn, a little baby deer's spots all over his back? Pretend like you're tickling that little baby fawn. Tickle, 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 tickle. In this next song, we're gonna pretend like we're pointing at those fawn spots, okay? And in the song, this is the type of song where we can march in place. So can everybody march in place with me? And remember, we're gonna be pointing out those spots. Okay, ready? Spots, 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 spots. A fawn has lots of spots. What a lot of spots he's got. A chipmunk's stripes are very nice, but a fawn has lots of spots. Spots, 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 spots. Yay! Good job, everybody. Now, we're not gonna go on a hike together today, but the hike that we suggest for this week as well as the activity that we suggest for this week, is that you go for a hike and you look for deer. They're very easy to find on Staten Island. Maybe you don't even need to leave your house to be able to see and observe some deer. But some things to know about the deer at this time of year is that this season is called the rut. Can you say rut? Rut. Very good. Rut means mating season, or I like to say dating season. So the rut is when the deer are out and they're very active right now. But it's also a time of year when the deer can be a little more dangerous than usual. So you need to make sure that when you see a deer, you do not try to go up to the deer. You do not try to pet the deer. You do not try to feed the deer, because this is bad for you and for the deer. Okay? So if you see a deer, are you gonna go touch it? No. If you see a deer, are you gonna try to give it food? No, this would be bad for the deer. Okay? So when you go on a hike, some great places that you could look here at Clay Pit would be on the Orange Trail or on the Green Trail. Another great place where you can go and look for deer is if you go to our park headquarters in the late afternoon, maybe around 4 or 5 p.m. Around 4 or 5 p.m., right before it gets dark, that parking lot, we usually have some deer that like to hang out right next to it. So our park headquarters is located at 83 Nielsen Avenue in Staten Island. Okay? So if you want to come see deer, you should come to Clay Pit and look at them. And make sure that when you see the deer, you observe them. What type of deer am I looking at? Well, it's a white-tailed deer. Can I see the white tail on the white-tailed deer? Do I see any bucks or the ones with antlers? Do I see any does or the ones that are big but they don't have antlers? Do I see any fawns or deer that look really, really little? They won't have spots on them at this time of year. They usually lose those by the fall or the winter. So go look for deer this week. I hope that you have fun and I hope that you spot some. But remember, never go up to a deer, never try to pet a deer, and never, ever, ever try to feed the deer. Are you ready for the goodbye song? We clap to say goodbye, we clap to say goodbye. With our friends at Storytime, we clap to say goodbye. We wave to say goodbye, we wave to say goodbye. With our friends at Storytime, we wave to say goodbye. We stomp to say goodbye, we stomp to say goodbye. With our friends at Storytime, we stomp to say goodbye. Great job, everybody. I'll see you next week.